a bye, then they'll get a home game, then bowl game
I
for the championship.
I think they probably, if they get really excited, I think they go 16, and then you have eight home games.
Yeah. Which
would be pretty awesome.
Because I think that's what they're going to see as the most exciting part of this is going to be the home crowds. Now, you disagree with that. You think they're not going to be sold out.
No.
I thought you said that.
Okay. I said they will not be full. There's a difference.
Okay.
They will not be full.
All right. So you're gonna parse words here.
No, I'm just saying that there will be empty seats.
They'll be sold out. They'll sell all the tickets.
It's going to be in December. I don't know if they'll sell all the tickets. I'm just saying
there will not be capacity crowds.
Yeah, will not be the overflow crowds like we get at say the national championship in 2011 or some of these games.
Would be shocked if it's not over flooded, at least in year one.
I think year one definitely. Now, there were a lot of people that agreed with you when you brought that up on the show about future years after year one.
Yeah, because you got to think that the team that's traveling, you're traveling the week before Christmas, so how many fans are going to come with them? Right?
Yeah.
You're a road team. Chances are they're not expecting you to win. It's the 12 seed. Maybe the group of five is excited they bring a crowd, but usually the group of five doesn't bring a big road crowd anyway. So, I mean, there's some of these big stadiums like at Bryant Denny, even Jordan-Hare. You look at SEC road games, big SEC road games now, and you get up to where they put the visitors, and there's some gap.
Sure. Yeah, but you guys know that I would much rather be on the couch than going to a game in person. But if they played any of these games in Birmingham, I'd be there.
Oh, 100%.
And so I think, if you're just –
I'd go watch the 512.
If you're a fan of any of those markets, football fan, I think you're going.
Wouldn't you? The 512 in Birmingham?
Oh, yeah.
I'd 100% go watch that.
And I think our buddy Kevin, who watches this show, told me he gets an option for the tickets, but it seems like the price is pretty hefty too for this.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
And I don't think the money's going to, if Alabama's hosting, I think it's going to the college football playoff. So they take out expenses, but
yeah,
I mean, I would think, face for the worst get-in's probably $250.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a steep ticket.
I thought I saw 185.
Okay,
so that's a realistic number.
That's still steep for a game in your stadium, though.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, top of the hour. One more segment before we get to Greg Sankey. So we'll get to a quick segment on the other side. Can you tell us about our friends at CPAP Plus? I've been on the road. I don't use a CPAP, but recently I went on a golf trip. One of my buddies uses the CPAP, and just because of we had so many guys on the golf trip trying to stay at the same hotel, he and I shared a room, and I was amazed at the new technology. Couldn't even hear his CPAP machine. He has the latest stuff from CPAP Plus.
Yeah, don't buy your mask and supplies from Amazon or online. Come see the folks at CPAP Plus and see what you're actually buying. With over 200 5-star reviews on Google, the folks at CPAP Plus are CPAP users themselves, so the people helping you know what it's like and are ready to help. Visit any of their 3 convenient locations. Pelham, Highway 280, now open and trustful for a free CPAP checkup and free filters. No appointment is needed. They carry the best equipment from names like ResMed, React, Fisher Paykel, with mask and supplies in stock every single day. Do you need it today? Guess what? They've got it today. They also have travel CPAP machines. You can sign up for that July giveaway for a free travel CPAP machine. Just Google CPAP Plus or come into any of those 3 convenient locations. Tell the O'Neill brothers that the guys from the next round sent you.
We cast our vote for MVP of the year in the SEC when we come back. I'll ask these guys who they think, if we had a medal stand, who will be the gold medal, silver medal, bronze medalist of the SEC football season coming up. That's next. MyBookie.ag, promo code next round, bringing you our coverage from Dallas, SEC Media Days, last day, day 4 on TNR.
The next round's coverage of SEC Media Days is presented by MyBookie. Use promo code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag. Coverage is also presented by Tommy James Law, Precision Sports Medicine, Wayne's Pest Control, Champy's Chicken, and Vulcan Tire and Automotive.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
A lot to get to now on the live show as we're back in Birmingham in studio. Later on, we'll talk about Xander's big day. We'll get back into baseball. NFL camps have opened up, which is really exciting as we're now 33 days away from week 0. A lot less before we start the NFL exhibition season. But first off, fun time in Dallas. Glad to be back here in studio. How was the weekend after we all got out of the big white van together?
Mine was good. I mean, rained a lot.
Yeah, really didn't do much at all. Just kind of decompressed and very, very happy to be out of Dallas.
Felt like I was watching the British Open from the British Open, honestly.
I know.
Look outside, it's raining sideways.
What happened to the weather while we were out of town? We went to Dallas and everything changed here. It wasn't dry and summery anymore when we got back, but it is fun to be back and fun to be in full football mode now as we get closer and closer to the start of the season. Josh Pate will be on the show coming up at 10 Central Time today. So in 1 hour, we'll talk to Mr. College Football himself, Josh Pate. That is coming up. A ton of stuff to talk about college football-wise, but Big Ten Media Days is ongoing. That is where Josh Pate and a number of the folks that we're friends with that we saw last week in Dallas at SEC Media Days, they're in Indianapolis for that this week. Also, today and tomorrow, American Conference Media Days. UAB is there. Jack State's at Conference USA Media Days. So all of that continues on. The big developing news this morning that has a little a tiff going on between our media friends, Pete Thamel reporting. Not that it's an incorrect report, just other people are chiming in that we reported this back in June. But Pete Thamel, ESPN, no intentions, according to his reporting, of Florida State and Clemson to notify the ACC by August the 15th that they are planning on exiting after this season. Now, Brett McMurphy and Dennis Dodd have previously reported this back in June, as I was reading on social media today. But it looks like at least for another 2 years, the ACC is going to stay together. Florida State and Clemson, even with the legal stuff continuing, deciding they're not going to, LT, let the ACC know they're leaving. Seems like a smart plan for these guys after what Greg Sankey told us on set.
Yeah, look, I don't think they're wanted by anybody, and there's no reason for them to go to the Big 12, so you might as well try to make the ACC work. I would say this would be an awkward situation for Florida State and Clemson moving forward, but I don't think anybody cares.
I really don't either, and I get that the national guys have to report on this stuff. I hope this is not some ongoing thing.
But you don't think North Carolina fans are going to be like, F Florida State, they want to leave the ACC? I don't think anybody cares.
I'm with Lance. This feels like one of those stories that gets reported a lot and just doesn't have a whole lot of meaning because I don't know who wants Florida State and Clemson. Like if they left tomorrow, where are they going to go?
Yeah, and that's the problem. Rockstar, if you'll give me cut 15, only at post SEC Media Days do we get cut 15 on the show.
That's a lot of cuts we got to get to.
But cut 15 from our set, Greg Sankey sitting down and Lance asked the question about Florida State, and here's how the most powerful man in college football answered it.
One of your first comments was 16 today, 16 tomorrow. And Florida State has been a big talking point. So what are positives with Florida State and what are negatives? Florida State was a great brand at one time. I'm not words in your mouth. I don't think the SEC needs Florida State, but is there something that is alluring about Florida State?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, okay, let me try to simplify this. Florida State is not happy in the ACC. Would you give me that? They don't seem happy.
Right, from the outsider's view, I guess it seems that way.
So I will be a representative from Florida State. We don't like the ACC. We see the SEC as the best brand. We love the money the SEC brings in. We want to be part of the SEC.
Well, we really had this great session, Mr. Where I talked about really focused on our 16. And our presidents have said very clearly we're not going to be entangled in legal issues around any consideration of expansion. So it's not a conversation.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're not going to take our pie and slice it into more pieces. We have to grow the pie. And I have to be aware. So the question that led into this analysis is, are you paying attention? So I have to pay attention. But I think we have this group of 16 is an incredibly strong, well-positioned group of 16 universities and athletic programs in contiguous states, and there's not this need.
There's not this need, and we got to grow the pie. Growing the pie is always what everyone goes back to, and unless you're getting more money from somebody, why do you have to grow the membership if you can't grow the pie for everybody?
I would agree with that. Let me ask this question. When Texas and Oklahoma left to go to the SEC, did you care?
I mean, I thought it was strange. It took a little bit of time. I didn't care.
You didn't care.
Yeah, and then by the time we got to Dallas this past week, we were conditioned that this is happening, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But initially, I mean, when we went back on the air and we were talking about Texas and Oklahoma out of nowhere coming to the SEC, I mean, it was a big deal then.
Okay.
I think it was.
Did you care? Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC?
I mean, I hate to see the conferences go away, but if they were going anywhere, I'm glad they came to the SEC.
When USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten, did you care?
Yes.
Did you care?
Again, I hate the Pac-12 went away. I like the regional stuff.
But you cared.
Yeah,
I did care, but it makes it exciting now when I look at the Big Ten schedules. I like Big Ten football a lot more now.
I do too. If you woke up tomorrow morning and the headline said Clemson and Florida State leaving to go to the Big 12, would you care?
I would not care at all.
Wouldn't care. I really would not care. I don't care.
Well, the only thing that it would affect for me is growing up on ACC basketball. I loved ACC basketball, and I just don't know.
Clemson and Florida State. I mean,
which they had nothing to do with it. But I'm just saying, what is the future of that conference without those two?
No, I would agree with you on that. I don't think you're losing anything in the basketball product, though Clemson was just the Elite Eight. I get that. If you could keep the basketball product together, I'm with Lance. That is Duke and North Carolina and Virginia and NC State and Wake and what we grew up on.
Yeah, nothing football related.
Yeah, I really can't. I mean,
because when we first saw the ACC in football, it was Florida State. It was like, how long can they win games? Without losing a game. And then we finally saw it when they lost to Virginia on that Thursday night. But I mean, they completely dominated the league. I mean, the ACC has never, and I know they've had some national champions, but they have never, like from top to bottom, really lived up to any type of hype at all for me.
Yeah, I just don't think they've ever gotten the football product 100% right, and I don't know what's missing. Like if you said, okay, Ryan, well, what are they missing to get it right? I don't know the answer to that, but do you feel like they've gotten the football product right?
No, but I think it's because of, and that's even adding Notre Dame to some, mandated games, but they don't count in the standings. They just don't have a lot of big games every year in the ACC. The thing. Annually, I would say there's one must-see ACC game every year. Oftentimes, lately in my lifetime, it's been Clemson and Florida State. There was a time it was Florida State, Miami, but I'm not even sure they were all in the ACC when those games were. In fact, I know most of the biggest ones, they were not even in the ACC. They really expected Florida State Miami's rivalry that was happening in the 80s, early 90s to carry that conference, and it hasn't. Clemson, Florida State just haven't been really great, and you got to have more than one big game every year. That's why I'm excited about USC and Oregon and Washington and UCLA being in the Big Ten, because that gives me more meaningful Big Ten games.
I watch all or part of probably 20 college football games on a Saturday. Is that a fair number, you think?
That's a fair number.
Yeah. I mean, there's not all 20 do I sit and watch every single play. The big ones I do, but I'm bouncing around a lot. I can't tell you how often I think, boy, I gotta catch that ACC game. Got to get part of it.
Maybe one time a year is must see.
I mean, Clemson, Florida State. Florida State's going to be there.
Alabama. Well, going back to the '90s, Tennessee and Florida were so good together that game. Alabama and Florida for a little bit with Urban Meyer, Alabama Georgia, Alabama LSU. Yeah. And when you look at the ACC, it was dominated by Florida State. There was really never a drafting partner when they were really good. When Clemson was really good, Florida State wasn't. So
that's right.
It's been a one-team conference.
And to Jim's point, Florida State and Miami were never good once they came into the ACC.
Right. No, I am excited about the ACC this year because I do think there's a lot of different things. Like I don't think Florida State's going to be as good. I know I'm in the minority with that, but I think Miami's going to be much better. I think Clemson's going to be better. I think NC State can be really good. So I think it is exciting. I think SMU can surprise too, and NC State.
But the Big Ten now looks so much better with this realignment. I'll give you one example.
But the Big Ten's going to be hard to predict. Like last week,
no doubt.
I told you 1 through 6 was going to be fairly easy, and I was on top of 1 through 6, how the media poll came out. I think after 1 and 2, I think it gets difficult in the Big Ten. What the pecking order is 3, 4, 5, 6.
And we'll talk about the unofficial media poll from the Big Ten Media Days. They don't do it like the SEC does, and some other conferences. We'll jump into that in a second. But here's why I like the realigned Big Ten, because oftentimes you didn't get as many big games as you got in the SEC. You just reeled them all off. Obviously, Ohio State, Michigan every year. When either Michigan or Ohio State went to play Penn State, occasionally a Wisconsin game, occasionally an Iowa game, you just didn't have the same big matchups week in, week out that you get in the SEC. Michigan and USC now, they will play for the first time in the regular season since September 27th, 1958.
That is incredible.
And I think they've only played 3 times in the history of college football in the regular season. Oftentimes in the Rose Bowl. It's happened a lot, I assume. Just not in the regular season. So now you're going to get Michigan, USC, Ohio State, USC, those brands, and USC, Penn State, on the reg now. That's why I like the Big Ten realignment, because you get some monumental, Big Ten games that you just haven't gotten in the past. That's pretty interesting.
You wonder if the 4 new teams can change the style of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, Ohio State has still always had a wide open offense, but outside of Ohio State, you really haven't had that in the Big Ten. And now you bring in a lot of speed. And, we know Oregon's offense is elite, and Washington's offense was elite last year. Say what you want about USC, but their offense was legitimate.
It was incredible.
So you just wonder, what these other teams that have literally been stuck in mud, like your Iowas and Nebraskas and Northwesterns, are going to try to do offensively.
So tell me this, just your guess. So when Ohio State and Oregon play in October in Eugene, what will a total be for that game, would you guess?
Oh, in the 70s.
All right. So
that is uncharacteristically Big Ten.
Yeah. So for those that don't know the total, just in case you don't know, the total is the combined score of the game.
Yeah, and maybe 65, because Jim Knowles, that defense for Ohio State and the defense for Oregon is going to be good this year. So, the last couple of years it would have been touching 70, maybe mid-60s, but a lot.
But if it was Michigan, Oregon, it would be what? In that same game, they're playing in Eugene. They're playing mid-October for whatever it matters.
Oh, it'd be in the 50s.
If it was Iowa, Oregon, it would be what?
-7.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably 50s.
Yeah, but you see, and look, the same is true in the SEC. So Texas and Alabama, a total might be in the 50s or be in the 60s for that, right?
It could be, yeah.
Texas and Kentucky,
no,
it'd be a lot lower.
Yeah.
So you've always got spreads of the way teams play, and you've got that in the SEC too.
Yeah, contrasting styles is what makes college football. Our friends at CPAP Plus, before we get into reaction to seeing what Nick Saban field at Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to look like. We talked about this on Thursday, our last live show, but seeing the release from the university after they made it official, get your thoughts on that and a lot more stuff going on in college football. CPAP Plus, changing so many lives.
Yeah, don't buy your mask and supplies from Amazon or online. Go see the folks at CPAP Plus. See what you're actually buying. You can visit any of those 3 convenient locations where we originate out of Birmingham. Pelham, Highway 280, now open in Trussville for a free CPAP checkup. Free filters, no appointment needed. They carry the best equipment from names like ResMed, React, Fisher Paykel, with masks and supplies in stock every day. Do you need it today? Guess what? They've got it today. They've also got the travel CPAP machines in stock. You can sign up for the July giveaway for a free travel CPAP machine. Just Google CPAP Plus or go into one of those 3 convenient locations. See the O'Neill brothers. Tell them the next round sent you. With over 200 5-star reviews on Google, the folks at CPAP Plus are CPAP users themselves.
Nick Kelly, now with AL.com, did a poll on Friday, and he asked the question, when you're going to an Alabama football game this year, will you tell folks you're going to Saban Field, Bryant-Denny, Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, which is the official name, or as I said, you left off option D, heaven. He laughed. How will you guys refer to it?
Bryant-Denny.
Bryant-Denny.
Yeah. Look, I think it's incredible. Nick Saban deserves whatever he gets in Tuscaloosa. You can rename the city if you want. Don't really care.
There's the way the entrance will look. There's the way the what do you call that? The facade.
I don't know. Bryant-Denny is just...
that's what the stadium's called.
Yeah, it's what the stadium is.
When you get your name on the field, it's a nice honor, but your name never gets mentioned. That's just the way it rolls. Nobody ever says the field name. Everybody always says stadium name. That's the way it's going to be. It's going to be Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Where is Dudley Field?
Dudley Field is Vanderbilt, but it's Vanderbilt Stadium in Dudley Field.
Okay.
So this only happens when names get put on stadiums. And I'll give you a good example of that. Like my old school, Jacksonville State, just sold their naming rights to our friends at Amherst, right?
That's right.
It's going to be Amherst Stadium. It's Burgess Snow Field, named after Coach Burgess.
Is that public, by the way?
Yeah, they announced it. They announced it over media days. Okay. Yeah, we've known about it for quite a while, as Lance is telling you, but it has gone public. But you've got Coach Burgess and Coach Snow. Their names are on the field, right? Well, for years, that's what you call Burgess Snow Field. because there's no stadium name. It was just JSU Stadium.
I don't like a lot of names, but I think you could top it out at 3. It could be Bryant Denny Saban Stadium.
Oh, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
It's a lot.
I think
a lot of people
but
like Brown. A lot of people like Brown wanted to take Denny off.
Yeah, I think you tell Denny it's been a good run, almost 100 years. Great job, Denny family. You've got your chimes. We'll never take your chimes away from you, but we're going to give the stadium to Saban.
I've got no affiliation with Denny.
I don't know Denny.
I mean, it could be Bryant Saban, and I think that if that's it, you lock that in because those two guys, what they did.
Why not Saban Bryant?
I think I'd go Saban Bryant. Just think it sounds better for some reason. I don't know, Saban Bryant Stadium instead of Bryant Saban Stadium.
Well, I mean, Saban did more. Yeah, I mean, he could get title
I'd
billing.
go either way. It wouldn't bother me. But you tell the Denny family, thank you. Thank you for your service to our great university here, and we appreciate you being president about 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And
you probably donated $250,000 to build.
That's right.
The East Grandstand.
Yeah, but
they had 800 white students back there.
I know.
And now Alabama's like 80,000 undergrad, and people locally can't even get in school there.
I know.
Preston,
a little different.
Preston's exactly right. You could not abbreviate the stadium to be BS Stadium. Bryant Saban. It needs to be Saban Bryant.
I just, you tell the Denny family you're always going to have your chimes. You can come here every hour and hear your great grandfather ring the chimes from heaven. Yes, but as far as the stadium
it's time
goes,
for the Bear Bryant show.
As far as the stadium goes, it's going to have Nick Saban's name on it. It's. I mean, here's the regret I think a lot of these schools have is 100 years ago thinking we need to put the president's name on a stadium. There was no, and I get it. We've got the ability of hindsight. They didn't have that. I'm assuming they thought there'll never be a coach's name on a stadium.
When presidents were important before they were an empty suit.
This is an academic institution.
You guys not even making 6 figures.
I know, this is an academic institution. They'll never put a coach's name on there. And now you get to where you've had all these legendary coaches a couple 100 years later, 100 years later, and there's no name on the stadium because they put a booster's name on it or a president's name.
I don't know, like the history of Denny. Did Denny make it past one term?
I was told he was going to do a second term, but he dropped out. I was doing the zone last night. Doug Segrist kind of educated me on Denny. He was the guy that apparently was the school president, one of the first in the South to say, this college football thing's got a future. Let's invest. So actually, I think he's pretty important to the college football at Alabama.
That's right.
I think he hired Wallace Wade. I think he identified Wallace Wade, and he's like, we're going to try to make our name here in the South in football.
We're going to get him. We're going to get him.
That's right. We'll chase him all the way to the Rose Bowl if we have to, boys.
He was a good run. I mean, 1912 through 1936, again, as interim president in 41-42. I guess that was war-related.
He gave a lot to the university.
He made it to 84.
Yeah, he had a lot of pluck and grit in him, didn't he?
Yeah, made it to the age 84, not to the year.
No.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how you handle this. Listen.
He coached football, too. Did you guys know that?
Oh, Denny did? Yeah. Did he coach at Alabama, though? He didn't.
No. He oversaw,
right?
though, according to this, a significant increase in enrollment and construction on campus.
Sounds familiar.
No, I mean,
Nick Saban oversaw that, too.
I know. I think Denny probably had a pretty good contribution to Alabama, but again, it's 100 years ago.
Thoreau Field, Missouri.
Damn, he lost his left leg.
Denny did? Yeah. In the war?
No, it was just an amputation, some complication of surgery.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Who is Thoreau?
Missouri.
Well, I know that, but who is he?
Oh, I don't know, but we call it Thoreau Field.
I bet he was an explorer.
Thoreau.
Yeah. Field. I used to call it Grant Field. I never called it Bobby Dodd.
Thoreau was the first to pull the beaver pelt out of the Ozarks.
Yeah. Our friend Dr. B pulls hair out of LT's scalp. He's trying to do it.
What a transition.
Trying to do it for Brownie right now. He does it with technology, not with tweezers.
Our friend Dr. B, again, when I started to thin out, he is the guy. Everyone said Dr. Beckenstein, best in the business. He remains at the forefront of hair preservation in the Southeast, takes pride in treating each patient personally, applying his expertise to produce quality results. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. B for a range of cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. He will use that experience, his advanced training, genetic testing to help his patients fully understand the procedures they are considering. I'm doing that non-invasive treatment 3 times a week, 30 minutes each time on the couch. That is it. Make the phone call. Schedule the consultation today, 205-319-0316. That's 205-319-0316. Or t3hair.net.
By the way, Saban Field at Bryant Denny Stadium, I will try as many times as I can to say that. It will be helped out by the fact that Nick Saban is part of ESPN ABC's college football coverage. So they will have no problem calling it Saban Field.
His co-workers will throw him a bone.
At Bryant Denny Stadium. It does get a little wordy, but EG was practicing Welcome to Saban Field at Bryant Denny Stadium. Today, the tie, she was doing some of that. So it does roll off the tongue there. I think you'll get plenty of Saban Field. And people are saying they don't call it Pat Dye Field.
They
you
don't.
get it occasionally when they're talking about Coach Dye,
Yeah,
that shot.
When's the last time you've said it?
But,
you always call it Jordan Hare.
And I think Coach Dye did a lot at Auburn, but he did not do as much as Nick Saban did in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, I agree.
And I think Nick Saban, he was not the American icon figure personality that Bear Bryant was, but I think on the field, Nick Saban did more than Bryant.
Do you
Bryant
think
did.
there's a possibility that it was presented to the Saban family, we'll strip Denny off this stadium, and he was like, don't worry about it?
I think you're going to find that the Alabama State Constitution is a complicated legal mess, and I don't think you can strip names off of state buildings.
Do you know what?
Oh, I disagree.
I think you can.
Yeah,
I think it becomes a complicated thing, though.
Oh, maybe it does. I mean, there's probably some voting that has to be done.
I mean,
we're talking about Nick Saban here. I'm pretty sure the vote will go in his favor.
Yeah.
I would say the best way one of the best ways you could honor him is we just came back from Dallas. I-30 between Dallas and Fort Worth is known as Tom Landry Expressway.
How about that?
Why would you not just make the state should just vote on I-5920 between Birmingham, the 459 interchange, and Tuscaloosa's Nick Saban Expressway?
It will happen. I mean, I don't
Why
know
would
if
you not do
that
that?
strip of road, but
would you? You'd be all right with that, right? I mean, I don't know that anybody ever calls it the Landry Expressway. Maybe they do on the traffic reports. They're a little backed
we've
up
got
on the
a
Landry
Don
Expressway.
Sutton Expressway somewhere back from the beach.
Yeah, I think
we
you're
do. Through that little Florida town.
And he was barely a 500 pitcher.
It's a Hall of Famer.
I just wouldn't want to do that to Little T and people like that who would refuse to drive on it, and they'd get off and have to drive through Brent and Brookwood, Northport.
Think of how it would help those little towns' economies, though. All those people that are coming through now.
All the Auburn and Georgia fans getting off the interstate. All right, that's your opening segment here. Josh Pate coming up in a little under 40 minutes now. When we come back, best and worst of the weekend. Either my best or my worst will involve the EA Sports College football game after the guys behind the glass trashed it. I will give you my opinion after playing 14 games in 1 year of my dynasty over the weekend. That and the rest of best and worst of the weekend coming up on the other side from the beautiful Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios. This is the next round.
Follow LT on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about one of our favorite places for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is Hamburger Heaven since 1982. Hamburger Heaven has been serving Birmingham's best hamburgers, cheeseburgers, French fries, hand-spun milkshakes, and sandwiches made fresh to order. All of their ingredients are fresh and prepared daily. This includes their beef, always fresh, never frozen, hand-pattied each and every day. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, visit any of the 4 locations, Highway 280, Irondale, Gardendale, and Homewood.
The wait is over. Tonali has arrived. Beautifully distinctive Italian styling and performance. Come test drive the all-new 2024 Alfa Romeo Tonali plug-in hybrid at Alfa Romeo of Birmingham. The all-new Tonali offers best-in-class horsepower and torque, fastest 0 to 60 times in its class, plus best-in-class range with full electric charge. And best of all, qualified Tonali leasees are eligible for up to $7,500 EV tax credit factored into your lease. Hurry down to Alfa Romeo of Birmingham and experience the all-new Tonali.
Buying that perfect home is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make, so it's crucial that you have the right partner to help you through the process. Hi, I'm Lisa Zeig, Vice President Mortgage Loan Officer for Bryant Bank, and I'm here to tell you that we are that partner, making it easy to buy with confidence. We offer a variety of mortgage products to fit your unique home buying situation. That kind of hassle-free approach might not be what you'd expect from a bank, but it's exactly what you can expect from us. Give me a call today or visit one of our 18 offices across the state of Alabama and let me show you what banking beyond expectation is all about.
Hey, let me tell you about our friends at Urology Centers of Alabama. Compassionate and comprehensive urological care with 35 physicians, 17 locations across Alabama. Their patient-centered approach to all of your urological needs. Remember, they've got that new men's health center. It is beautiful, helping men with a wide range of sensitive male issues in a comfortable environment. You can always go online, visit urologycentersalabama.com, schedule an appointment with one of their many urologists today.
Every day, someone is ridiculed and mocked for the clothing they chose to wear. It's a harsh reality we all must face. But you have the chance to change all of that with one visit to nextround.store. For just a few minutes of browsing, you will observe so many clothing options, from hats to hoodies to t-shirts. Please, for yourself or someone you love, go to nextround.store and embrace the warmth of true attire.
There is no better place to watch your favorite sporting events and enjoy great food than one of the 3 great Birmingham locations of Walk-ons. The TVs are everywhere with your favorite sports, and the menu is second to none. From the great appetizers like the waffle cheese fries to the Avery Island salad, handhelds like the all-new chicken bomber, bistro specialties with a special taste of the bayou, the amazing hand-patty burgers, the great po' boys, and the specialty drinks. Visit any of the 3 great Birmingham locations of Walk-ons: Greystone, Stadium Trace and Hoover, and the brand new location in Trussville.
We'll get to best and worst of the weekend coming up in just a second. By the way, Kyle Larson wins for the 4th time this year. Yesterday at the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I was watching that. There was a time, you know, when it's the Indy 500, what do they put in there, LT? 500,000 people in the grandstands? I think it's
I think it's like
250.
Yeah. I think if you look at the seating, it's the largest stadium on the planet of seats.
I do believe you're correct on that.
And I think when you count infield and everything, it's 400 to 500,000 people on race day. I want to say it's 275,000 seats. But I was watching just briefly. I couldn't watch a ton of it, but for about 3 laps, I watched how NBC changed the way they do the camera work there, because used to, every time they'd come down the stretch, you'd have that wide tunnel shot, that iconic Indy 500, and they would zoom into the players. The race cars, so few fans. I mean, it probably was over 100,000 fans, but so many empty seats at Indianapolis. This race has fallen way off from where it was.
I remember when
they
it
changed
used
the way they were shooting it.
Al Unser Jr., you'd have him on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
You know, I guess
that's for the Indy 500. These were the NASCAR guys that were there, and even early on,
I'm just talking about that track.
crowds.
I'm talking about the track, how iconic it was. And, you know, maybe it was just the limited sports that we had back in the day. But I remember tuning into events like that.
Well, and I remember when they first went to Indianapolis, it was a big deal. Didn't Jeff Gordon win the first one, I think, or something like that?
Seems like it, yeah.
I mean, it was a really, really big deal. It just feels like it's...
Well, for those drivers, you know, it had to have been.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if it's run its course or not. Best I can find, they feel like 350,000 people is the pretty big attendance at Indianapolis infield and all. You're not going to get that for a NASCAR race by any stretch of the imagination.
So they just changed the how much tighter they were on the cars and the track because of the seats there, I assume, is why they were doing that yesterday on the NBC broadcast. Part of the show today being brought to you by our friends at Inverness Country Club.
Yeah, find your sense of community at Inverness Country Club. Maybe you relocated to retired Inverness. Great place to network. They've got memberships that fit everyone, from the social membership, including the resort-style pool complex, full-service cabana and bar, live music on Friday nights, Sunday brunch, the golf membership, of course. Take advantage of that. Beautiful course, currently expanding the driving range. Child care also huge plus. You and your wife want a day of golf or tennis, guess what? You can drop the kid, go have yourself a day on the court or course, dinner with friends, knowing your kid is safe on site. Massive plus. Maybe you work from home. What about working from the club while they watch your kid? Best days happen in Inverness. Take a tour of this unbelievable club today. Call Aaron. Tell her the next round sent you. 205-991-8608. That's 205-991-8608. Or online, iccalabama.com.
Oh, I didn't think about that. You could have the kids in the play area there, the daycare area, while you sit there at the restaurant, eat a lunch, and do a little work. I like that a lot. Before Brownie tells us about Xander Schauffele.
You were just thinking about playing 9 holes while they were there, right?
But then I was thinking about having a nice lunch and doing some work from there. Here we go. 1982, before you tell us about Xander, 1982 is the last time 4 American golfers swept the 4 majors in 1 year. They've now won 7 straight, the longest streak since 1977, when the Americans won 13 straight majors from 74 through 77. I didn't know the Americans had started to dominate this. And then here's Xander Schauffele, who Brownie, everyone said, man, if he could ever get the first one, they would come in bunches for him. He got the first one at the PGA, and here he is with his 2nd major this year.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's playing the best golf of his career, obviously. He finally broke that seal on the major that everybody was waiting for him to do, and to Jim's point, and you kind of see this sometimes. Like, once a guy breaks through, he'll win them in bunches. Mickelson kind of did that.
You know, with Schauffele, he pars his first 5 yesterday, and everybody was playing the front 9 early well, and the back 9 was disastrous. And then he just got into a zone. And it was much like you saw Billy Horschel, who was leading going into yesterday, how he putted on Saturday. Horschel went full King Griffey Jr., hat backwards, and was just lights out putting. And I was so excited about it yesterday because you have 7 golfers that start the final round within a shot of Billy Horschel, who was leading. And I've always asked Brandon, like, how do you go to church with your Dolphins playing? And I went to church yesterday, and I was like listening to Sirius XM on the way. And my man Shane Lowry had already had the meltdown, but I was really beat up that I wasn't going to be able to watch it. And then he played so well yesterday, everything fell apart.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. Like, I DVR'd it while I was at church, and I actually managed to get home without knowing who won. So I just turned my cell phone upside down and started watching it. And about the turn, I'm like, there's zero chance Xander Schauffele
Right. Were you
loses this
pulling
thing.
for him, though?
I was pulling for Billy Horschel.
Yeah, I was too. You remember Billy Horschel when I used to draw one of those dark horses forever ago, and Horschel used to, he's still got to deal with Ralph Lauren, but he used to wear the crazy pants. I think one time he had octopus.
Yeah,
on
octopus. It was the one where he almost won the U.S. Open. I can't remember where they were that year, and you had him in the U.S. Open. You were so pulling hard for him.
I took a look at playing him this weekend and just didn't.
Yeah, and they turned the hat backwards because of water dripping off.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Rose doing the same thing, wearing your pandas.
But that was fun. That was fun watching it on Saturday because the weather was so disastrous. Right?
Oh, it was. I think Dustin Johnson said it was the hardest 9 holes he had ever played. Shane Lowry, who everybody was talking about, was built for this. Like, this is the guy that will thrive in it. Fell apart in it and started bitching about the course setup.
Yeah, like leading after day one, and I did have Lowry. I was like, he'll fall apart. And then after Friday, I was like, damn, he ain't going nowhere. And then Saturday, he could not make a putt. And I got to be honest, I didn't know who Thurston Lawrence was.
Oh, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah. That kid was playing lights out.
Is
it Thurston or pronounced Tristan?
It's spelled Thriston, but it's pronounced Tristan. But I like Thurston.
I thought it was Thurston to start with, too. I was like,
no, that's the way it's spelled.
Other than the Gilligan Islands character, when I first heard it on Saturday, I was like, is there another Thurston you've ever heard of?
So I'd never heard of that guy either, so don't worry. I watched more golf than you, and I never heard of him.
Yeah, and I had I thought for a minute, though, Justin Rose was going to win it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that, too. I was pulling for Horschel, in case people wonder why. He's one of the clients of our friend, Dr. Brett McCabe. And he's just had, he's had a lot of challenges in his career. His wife is a recovering alcoholic and is very open about that. That's not, spilling some tea there. She's open about it. She talks about it. And it was hard for him, too, because he was having to, imagine if you're a professional golfer, you're out of town 7 straight days, best case scenario. And then your wife's back home and knowing she's battling that, right?
Yeah.
And I think, Billy might have battled some things too.
He's battled some demons with his temper and stuff like that.
Yeah, you just think about mentally how difficult that sport is.
Yep. So that's why I was pulling for him. He's an American too, SEC guy, played at Florida.
I'll tell you, Scheffler for a minute. You're like, damn, he's only 2 back. And then he doubles, what did he double, 8 or 9? I think he doubled 9.
Yeah.
And then he just missed a chippy putt. And even Scheffler has those moments, where he just loses a little concentration.
Yep.
Yeah, just when you thought he was going to maybe win all 4 of them, the Grand Slam, he doesn't win another one all year long.
And he got arrested at one.
Yeah, so he doesn't win another one. It ends up being Schauffele, the one that wins multiple ones. He wins 2 majors, finishes in the top 10 in the other 2. The only golfers ever to do that, to win 2 majors and finish in the top 10 and the other 2 in the same year. See if these guys are good. Palmer, Nicklaus, Player, Watson, Woods, Spieth, and Schauffele. They're the only people in the history of golf ever to win 2 majors and finish in the top 10 in the other 2. Pretty good year for him.
How many golfers were in the field?
I think 100. I think in the British it's 156. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I got a point. So Schauffele now with 2 major championships in one season, 30 years old. Is he already a top 100 golfer of all time?
Probably so. I think winning 2 probably puts you in the top 100. Yeah, I'd have to go look at how many have won 2 majors, but I think winning 2 puts you in the top 100.
Yeah. You start separating yourself with that second one. Much like in college football, you win a second national championship, you enter a different level than just winning 1. Right?
Yeah, I think Schauffele's a tremendous player. I did not foresee him being the guy that would win 2 this year.
Yeah,
I thought that was Scheffler.
Oh, 100% you'd have bet on Scheffler. On that.
After the first one, and now the thing with Schauffele you worry about is he Jordan Spieth? Is he Patrick Reed? Is he? There's a number of guys that come out and they have a good year or they win a couple pretty quick, and then you think, oh, here we go. This guy's going to win 6 or 7.
He seems mentally strong, though.
I think he is. But if you go back,
I think we said that about Jordan Spieth.
I didn't say that about Spieth.
If you go back
at that caddy,
if you go back to the PGA Championship of 2020, the second major of the year of 2020, he had just missed the cut at the Masters. Here's his majors: tied for 13th. Tied for 14th, tied for 15th, tied for 10th, tied for 18th, tied for 10th, tied for 17th, and this year 8-1, tied for 7th, 1.
Yeah.
So he's always in the hunt at
Always.
these things.
He's really good. So there you go. Best and worst of the weekend now brought to you by our friends at Hemphill. Hemphill bringing you best and worst.
Trusted name Birmingham has trusted since 1954 for all of your plumbing, heating, and cooling issues. Whether you experience any of these in your home or business, they are ready to serve you. Call Adam, Chad, Andrew, the guys there. Tell them the next round sent you, 205-229-2090 or hemphillservices.com.
I'll let you guys do your best and worst, but I'm going to start off with the EA Sports college football game. I was waiting to get back to Dallas to play it. As soon as I got home, left here, I fired that thing up. I did a poll. I like to start my Dynasty mode. It's the only one I play. I don't play online against anybody. I just play Dynasty mode. I play at the All-American level, which is right below the Heisman. And I like to build my Dynasty, start below, and take jobs all the way up to wherever I want to stay the rest of my career and become, a legendary coach. And they put my name on the field. So I started with Kennesaw State.
You get your name on the stadium there.
Worst team in Division I. They moved up. They're in Conference USA, just a bad team. I go 3-9 my first year. So I played 12 regular season games. I'm 3-9. So they simulate all the other games in the season going on. And here is the...
How long does it take to play a season?
12 games. It takes me about, with the recruiting and everything, about an hour a week. Of a week, like you do to do the recruiting.
An hour per week of games.
Of the actual simulation.
12 games would be 12 hours.
12 games,
Okay.
12 hours.
Gotcha.
So I spent 14 hours playing it this weekend.
Don't ever talk about me watching movies again.
Okay. So I spent 14 hours over the course of 3 days doing this. But here's why I'm going to agree with the guys behind the glass. I give the game a C-.
Okay, that's bad.
Because when you're doing the simulation, when you're playing a dynasty, it simulates every other game in college football every week. And this very first year that was my dynasty mode is current rosters, current player rankings, current names on the roster.
Yeah.
Do you think Georgia made the college football playoffs?
Well, it's unrealistic if they didn't.
They did not.
Well, did Carson Beck get hurt?
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know.
you don't know any of those things, right?
I could have gone check, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you think Texas made the playoffs?
They should have.
They did not.
Well, this is good news for Ole Miss.
Yeah. Do you think Alabama made the playoffs?
They had to.
They did not.
Okay, so their simulation has Georgia, Texas, and Alabama out of the playoffs.
2 SEC teams made the playoffs.
Only 2.
Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Ole Miss and
That'd
Oklahoma.
be a shocker.
Boy, a lot of LSU disappointed.
Here is my
Missouri
4
disappointed.
Here were the 4 bye teams.
Okay.
Utah was the number 1 overall seed as Big 12 champion.
Okay, I don't think overall 1 seed, but they could easily get the bye.
Clemson had a bye. They were the number 2 overall seed from the ACC champion.
Again.
Wisconsin was the number 3
Oh, wow.
overall seed.
Wow.
as
Good
the Big
job,
10
Luke
champion.
Fickell.
Luke Fickell.
Top 10 coach now.
So he won the Big Ten over Ohio State and Oregon. Okay.
And the number 4 overall seed, group of 5 Liberty.
Okay.
So the simulation's out of whack.
You got to send this back to the store.
Stanford made the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
So the game, if it doesn't have any reality to the simulations, it always did in the past through 2013.
Yeah, that's dumb.
It always had that.
Yeah, I'd mail it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a piece of crap unless, and can I get Lunceford's microphone here? Lunceford, are they able to correct this problem if they choose to do so and then send me a new link? Is that possible?
Well, they'll patch the game, which they've already done a few times. Because the very first game we played, Reed was pointing out those Alabama players' numbers are wrong. The next day, it was fixed, and they had the right numbers. They've already been patching it a little bit. That simulation, I don't know how you don't simulate the best teams in there because they are higher rated in every possible regard. Alabama has a star player at every position.
Yeah, it's probability. I mean, there's got to be an algorithm in there. I mean, it makes no sense.
So Lance, JT83 in the mybookie.ag chat room says the developers have acknowledged the simulations are broken. And that's what you're saying is they're going to send a patch to fix all this?
So they've acknowledged this?
Well, that's what he says.
It's also a little late because, Jim's already played his first season. He's not going to start all over again and spend another 14 hours to play through his first year.
100% will do that.
But everybody's not going to do that.
And trust me, I would take the Army job. I wouldn't take Kennesaw State.
You can make the argument most anticipated video game of all time. At least you can make that argument based on what I heard back here.
I agree.
So I don't know why you wouldn't make sure that you get this right.
Well, I mean, I don't know why you had to be told. Like, did they ever run the simulations and get that result and nobody at EA Sports say, guys, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We got to fix this.
Yeah, I was shocked they didn't have Dion in Colorado as the number 1 seed, as much as they've been prepping them up for
I know.
this.
You're right about that.
But it ruins the realism of the game. And listen, if it's 6 years down the road, maybe the Indiana coach recruited well and all of that. And here's another thing I hated about it. You have a bunch of fake coaches who are also in their first year of coaching these teams. They don't have like legendary coaches. So if my 3 wins is, not too far away from the winningest coach of all time.
I think you're almost fireable offense when those other teams. Stanford can get in a college football playoff and you went 3-9.
Yeah.
Hey, so
I didn't know the door was open for me to slide into the old playoffs.
Lunceford, let me ask Lunceford this. So when everybody does the simulation, does it come up the same as Jim's, or is that
I mean, it randomizes it.
Okay.
So it probably runs like a ton of different simulations to pick the eventual winner for every game, and then it does that for all the different games. But I've seen a lot of people point out simulations, and because like everybody's wanting to run through and simulate, the first 12-team playoff, let's see what it could potentially be. And every single one of them has some random group of 5 team advancing to like the Final Four, and every single one of them has Alabama missing, Georgia missing, and all those good
Nail
teams.
Nail it back.
My national championship game was Utah beating Indiana 50-something to 30-something.
Nail it back.
Better game than Georgia TCU, to be fair, but I'm still not sure I'd watch it.
So I saw an opportunity, Brown. Indiana preseason year 2. You can custom your schedule. Indiana preseason number 3 in the country in year 2. I took Kennesaw State into Bloomington, beat the number 3 team in the country. It was an opportunity to get that first top 25 win.
Here last week in Dallas, somebody brought this is going to be the most unpredictable college football season we've ever seen. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be pretty predictable. I think there will be a team that makes 12-team playoff that shouldn't. But if we had that kind of insanity.
Yeah, Indiana and Stanford, keep dreaming. That's all I have to say. More best and worst of the weekend when we come back. The show being brought to you by our friends at HydroLive Therapy. So many things to get you into a really good state of mind. The best thing here is a membership and get on a routine to get by there.
Yeah, IV therapy, compression therapy, cryotherapy, all under one roof. Stop in, see the fine folks at HydroLive Therapy. You can boost your immune system there. IV therapy treatments packed with nutrients to increase energy, reduce stress and anxiety, boost your immune system, and much more. Ask about memberships. Very important here. Members are rewarded with deep discounts. Save up to 50% off regular pricing for all services, plus receive 1 free IV bag per month. You basically recoup that IV membership in just 1 visit. HydroLife Therapy open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. 3 locations, 2 in Birmingham, 1 in Tuscaloosa. Make sure you mention the next round. 20% off any of the great services. For more information, hydrolivetherapy.com.
Follow Brownie on Twitter and Instagram at ryanbrownlive.
This hour of The Next Round is presented by the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, now featuring 7 days of giveaways with your chance to win a share of up to $125,000. The more you visit the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, the more chances you have to win.
Let's face it, a home is one of the most powerful assets you can have, and our friends at Mortgage Right want to help you build wealth through home ownership. Mortgage Right is all about providing competitive rates, a variety of loan products, and a multitude of resources for a seamless home buying experience. They treat their borrowers like family and are always looking to bring more happy homeowners under their roof. See more by visiting mortgageright.com/TNR today and start living. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender.
Stop by the New York Butcher Shop and pick up the finest in certified Angus prime beef steaks and burgers, premium pork chops, ribs, and all-natural chicken cut to order just for you. Their chef-prepared entrees and side dishes are the perfect dinner-to-go choice for your family and are ready to heat at home. With a great selection of fine wines and desserts, the New York Butcher Shop is your one-stop dinner shop. 2 locations to serve you, Cahaba Heights and on Highway 119 in Greystone. The New York Butcher Shop, rare quality, well-done service.
Our friends at Longus Furniture believe in getting more style for less. Longus offers a great selection of furniture for your living room, bedroom, dining room, home office, and entertainment room, helping you elevate your home design and decor. Longus offers everything from vibrant outdoor furniture to breezy home accents. Everything you need to create your own sunshine sanctuary. Right now, you can save up to 10% store-wide, receive $300 in Longus sleep credits with select mattress purchases, and access special financing on tons of hot buys. Take exit 280 off the I-65 Hallmark Farms exit today to see what Longus has to offer you.
Take TNR on the go with a podcast built for your satisfaction. Miss Hour 1? Find it in podcast form. Miss Hour 2? Stream it now. Miss Hour 3? Download it for later. Miss Hour 4? Well, just know it's never coming back. Listen to TNR wherever you find podcasts.
For a great experience in golf, go to Bent Brook, just off I-459 in the Birmingham area. You've got 27 holes where you can play your 18 holes 6 different ways. Open 7 days a week with 5 sets of tees that makes golf enjoyable for any level golfer. You get complimentary GPS on every golf cart, and the AU Victory bent grass greens play as pure as any in the area. Bent Brook continues to improve with upgraded greens and redesigned holes. Book that next tee time right now. BentBrook.com. BentBrook.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the Next Round. Unfortunately, over the past year, I've noticed significant hair loss. I asked around, and everyone said call Dr. Beckenstein. He is the absolute best. Dr. B pioneered the use of NeoGraft hair restoration right here in Alabama, and he remains at the forefront of hair preservation in the Southeast. He takes pride in treating each patient personally, applying his expertise to produce quality results. For more than 20 years, women and men have turned to Dr. Beckenstein for a range of hair restoration and cosmetic procedures. He uses that experience and his advanced training to help his patients fully understand his procedures they are considering. Call Dr. Beckenstein today, 205-319-0316. That's 205-319-0316.
Best and worst of the weekend. Brought to you by our friends at Hemphill over in the chat room. We appreciate you guys always burning up the mybookie.ag chat room over there. Brownie, what do we have?
See You in Buff says, does Jim complain about Super Mario Brothers because there's no way a man can eat a star and become invincible? It's not at all realistic. You can't eat a star and become invincible.
I do think that you suspend reality for the majority of games you play.
Yeah.
But the college football should be more realistic than that.
I agree.
I mean, why do you have the overall ratings and stuff?
That's right.
Player ratings, you have them for a reason.
Yeah. And if I'm touching a rock at Indiana, which, by the way, I didn't know they had a rock they touched at Indiana.
That sounds like
I think that's made up.
Yeah.
Do a little research, man.
Right.
You used to do a thing called, what was it, Thursday's Traditions?
Yeah, we can bring that back.
Maybe we bring it back. See if Indiana touches a rock when they come out. They do in the game.
Well, that's copying Clemson. If I'm Clemson, I'm pissed about something.
Yeah, can you come up with your own tradition like Kennesaw State? Can you steal some hubcaps or something?
If I were you, I'd put like a big Indian hatchet out there, and you have to touch the hatchet.
Yeah.
It's got no meaning whatsoever.
Not on the sharp side.
It's got no meaning whatsoever. It's just.
I think Kennesaw lost their quarterback. He sliced a finger touching the hatchet on his way out. The show being brought to you today in part by our friends at UCA Urology Centers of Alabama. We tell you all the time that staying on top of your health, one of the more important things you can do as you age in life, 20s to 30s, 30s to 40s, and so on. Urology Centers of Alabama, with over 35 urologists on hand, 16 locations around Alabama, treating all of your urological needs from prostate health to kidney stones. They'll take care of you. Visit urologycentersalabama.com, urologycentersalabama.com to make an appointment today.
So the article starts before he tragically passed due to cancer in 2007. Anytime we talk about one of these traditions, and
was this Terry Hebner?
Yeah, he started it.
He was a hell of a coach.
He was.
Yeah. But I mean, does Clemson have rock envy at this point?
Well, that's a bigger rock.
It is a bigger rock.
Yeah. That is a piece of limestone that was part of Memorial Stadium construction in the late 1950s.
Hebs Rock. Had no idea.
Yeah.
They called it The Rock, and apparently people started calling the name, the stadium, The Rock Memorial Stadium, which I think Southern Miss already has that. I think they call their place The Rock.
They got plenty of places to put rock in the stands. Look at that.
They now call it.
That's about the crowd that was there when Kennesaw State rolled in.
He got the win. They now call it Heps Rock to honor Terry Hebner. So that we are almost undefeated when we start dogging out a tradition, and the article starts with, before he tragically passed due to brain cancer.
I can't believe it was 2007, that long ago. Do you guys will remember that Miami of Ohio team that got Terry Hebner the Indiana job with Ben Roethlisberger?
Oh, yeah.
They
would
would have been
team, right?
They would have been in the 12-team playoff.
Who was their only loss that year?
I would have opened the season.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I bet you that's one of those, if they played it any other time of the season, they probably win it.
Probably would have, yeah.
All right, so Big Ten Media Days happening as we speak. There's no official, Brownie tells me this, I did not know this.
Well, this is from Brett McMurphy.
There is no official Big Ten media poll like we do at the SEC. But several outlets have polled media people, which is really the way media polls are done. Media people vote in media polls. to come up with a Big Ten ranking. I had a different one than Brown had. I don't know which one you're looking at, LT.
I haven't looked at any. I've got my top 6 the way I would have it, though, and I think it's difficult.
The media poll that I looked at in Brown, separate ones, had the first 10 exactly alike. So let me hear yours and see.
Ohio State's obvious, number 1.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Oregon is going to be number 2.
Check.
That is correct.
This is where it gets complicated.
Okay.
Like, out of respect for 15-0 Michigan, they might have them there, but I think they're going to have Penn State. I'm going to go Penn State 3.
The one I looked at and the one Brown looked at, check.
Then I think you got to go Michigan 4.
Check.
USC 5.
The one I looked at and Brown looked at had Iowa 5.
Okay. I would have SC 5, and then I would have Washington, and Iowa would be 7. But all those interchangeable.
Washington, and the one I looked at was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10th.
10th. That's according, now this is from the Cleveland Plain Dealer. That is a newspaper, kids.
Yeah.
Cleveland.com did it, and I think they had 30 voters.
Well, you guys haven't mentioned SC, so where did they have this?
6.
Right behind Iowa.
Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa. USC 6, Wisconsin 7, Nebraska 8, Rutgers 9, Washington 10, and Maryland 11, Minnesota 12. And then it varied from Brown's and mine that we looked at. But the first 12 were exactly the same. Mine was in UCLA, Illinois, Michigan State, Northwestern, Indiana, who was in the EA Sports National Championship game, and Purdue, 18th, 18 strong.
Well, I wanted to pull the Washington schedule because they're so far back. And if you look at September, they've got a really good shot. At Rutgers might be tricky. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Well, I mean, they got Rutgers 9th and Washington 10th. It's apparently a toss-up.
But I think they should open 5-0, but things get real, man. October, November are brutal. They've got Michigan at Iowa, USC at Penn State, and at Oregon.
I think that's a Friday night game at Rutgers, too, if I am not mistaken, for whatever that matters. I don't know if that matters to you or not. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be a raucous crowd on a Friday night in Piscataway. It's probably not going to be a raucous crowd on a Saturday in Piscataway.
No.
A couple other media day things that are happening today, not just the Big Ten, but also AAC and Conference USA. Right after Brownie tells us about our friends at A+.
That is my man Brad Bell. That's the guy that redid my master bathroom and redid Lance's master bathroom and kitchen. He specializes in master bath, kitchen, and master bedroom closets. That's his specialty, and that's important for this reason. You spend a lot of time in those rooms, but when you go to sell your house, you're going to get your money back in those rooms more than anywhere else in your house. Listen, they've got financing options if the time is right, but the money might not be 100% right. They can help you there, and they can work anywhere in the state of Alabama. Here is the number to call, 205-422-1758. That's Brad's personal cell phone number. You get right to him at A+ Tile Home Remodeling, 205-422-1758. Brad Bell, A+ Tile Home Remodeling.
UAB 4-8 last year. They are now back in the American for the second year. They have 8 new players on offense, 13 new players on defense out of the portal, 49 new players total. They're in Arlington today. One thing you can count on with Trent Dilfer's team, Jacob Zeno is going to be the star player that everyone wants to talk to. He completed 73.6% of his passes last year, second in the FBS, only behind Bo Nix, and he passed for 3,126 yards. The O-line's supposed to have a little bit more talent and experience behind it. Trent Dilfer's team positioned to take a bounce in year 2. You always love year 2 coaches.
I do love year 2 coaches that are proven.
Well,
I mean, and that's not a shot at Dilfer, but at this level, we just haven't seen it. And you mentioned the numbers from Zeno. Zeno was really good, but what did that equate to for
a lot of high-scoring losses?
Yeah,
I mean, offense was not the problem. Yeah,
offense was not the problem, but you look at a team like South Florida, and I don't know. I've got more expectation for South Florida than I do in year 2 under Golish than I do for Trent Dilfer. Is that fair?
I think I would agree. They UAB scored 29 points a game last year. South Florida scored 31. South Florida converted that into a lot more, is what you're saying, though.
But, UAB, they've got a couple of difficult games on this schedule. They've got to go to Arkansas, but we really don't know what you're going to get with Arkansas, especially early in the season with Bobby Petrino calling the plays. And then late they go to Memphis, but they've got a lot of winnable games.
Yeah, should get back. They were bowl eligible for 7 straight years and went to 6 straight bowl games. Should be back battling for a bowl position in the American Conference. We'll pass along the AAC rankings. when they officially come out or when we get them in our email there. Jack State, by the way, over the weekend announcing they're going back on the Auburn schedule in 2026. Last time they played 2015. Auburn escaping with an overtime win, 27-20. 9-4 last year. Jack State and Rich Rod won the New Orleans Bowl, and they've got new turf going down. As Brownie said earlier, Amherst Stadium. Now you'll see the Amherst logo on the sidelines, and they're going with the throwback Gamecock in the middle of the field.
I tell you,
I've never seen that Gamecock.
Yeah, they have just started using it. It's an old school logo, Lance. Goes back to, I think, the 60s.
Denny days?
Yeah, the Denny days. When President Denny was over at Jack State.
I like it better than the old Southern Miss stolen one that you were telling me about.
Yeah, we got to settle on a logo and stick with it at Jacksonville State. And if it's that one, that's fine. But we just got to pick one and stick with it. That's one thing we have not done at Jack State. Rich Rod, you asked me this earlier or several weeks ago, Lance, if I thought he was a lifer at Jack State, and I do. I think he's just talking to some people over there. I think he's very comfortable. He's making really good money. He's figured out the NIL game, how to play it on the Jack State level. He's invested in some properties over there. He bought a house and added on to it. Actually, not too far from where my parents live.
Well, this would sound insane, but some of those people you talk to, does he feel like, look, if I'm here 10 years, I could be the Group 5 team that gets in? I mean, that sounds ridiculous.
That does sound ridiculous. I don't disagree with you. I mean, it would require having an Auburn-like team on the schedule. See, here's the thing about those Group 5 teams. You need an Auburn or somebody like that. You got to beat them, but then they got to be good. I always say that. That was one thing that helped Cincinnati get into the college football playoffs that year. They beat Indiana, who wasn't great, but then they beat Notre Dame, who was an okay team.
That's right.
And everybody else around them fell apart.
Yeah, those logos on the field, and people are saying the Amherst facing the same way looks wrong. Friends, that's for TV. I don't know what you're thinking, Richard. That's for TV. That's your TV side. So if you're Amherst, you don't want it upside down on one side. You're not worried about who's sitting on the east side of the grandstands. You want the TV,
that's right,
each side of the field to be able to see the Amherst logo. Same way with the Conference USA logos. You don't flip those around.
Well, if Jack State was to go undefeated this year, Brown, which I don't think there's a chance in hell, but if they were to go undefeated, they've got to go to Louisville, and they would have to go to Liberty.
I mean, you got to tell me what Louisville does, and you got to tell me who else from the Group of 5 is undefeated.
Yeah, you don't have to be undefeated. You just got to win your division and be the best Group of 5 team.
No, but I mean, Jack State would probably have to be undefeated.
Yeah, but Liberty's good chance favored in every game this year.
Yeah.
The good chance they'll get there. Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, I was just going to say, in a situation like that, even with say South Florida lost at Alabama but beat Miami, South Florida's going to be ranked ahead of them.
Very much so, and you have the reputation of certain conferences as well. As we approach the top of the hour, Josh Pate coming up. Odis Fest is happening this weekend down with our friends at Odis.
I've had so many people reach out, hey, can you get me Odis Fest tickets? Here's the good news. It's free.
It's free.
Right. Yes, I can.
It's free. It's free.
It is the 15th annual Odis Fest, the shindig of 2024, coming up this Saturday, July 24th. The original location right there in Crestline Village, 6 o'clock. Food, spirits, live music, good times. The hurlers are at 6. Tub is at 7:30. Negotiators are going to be on the inside at 10 o'clock. Again, admission is free. The celebration of Odis' 35th anniversary. 15th annual Odis Fest coming up this Saturday, 6 o'clock, right there in Crestline.
Follow Dunaway on Twitter and Instagram at jimdunaway.
If renting is putting a dent in your bank account, here's your sign from the universe that it's time to buy a new home. And who better to help you through the ins and outs of home buying than our friends at Mortgage Right. With Mortgage Right, you don't have to worry about becoming a short notice mortgage expert because they do all the heavy lifting for you. They're trusted mortgage professionals, and they'll help you choose the right mortgage option and stand by your side every step of the way. Visit mortgageright.com/TNR to buy before renting runs you dry. That's mortgageright.com/TNR. NMLS 2239, Equal Housing Lender. Storm season is here. Make sure you have a plan of action in place right now. Greg from Pell City and Storm Restoration Roofing should be your first call when storms hit. Insurance companies love working with Storm Restoration Roofing because of Greg Nelson's name and reputation in the industry. When storms hit, call Greg Nelson. He's local, 205-542-3531. He's the home of the free no-cost roof inspection. Greg from Pell City on Facebook, 205-542-3531. It's Storm Restoration Roofing.
Golf season is here, and if you're looking for a great golf course with affordable rates, you need to check out the newly renovated Woodward Golf Club. Woodward Golf Club is a semi-private club with membership opportunities available, but is also open to the public. You can book tee times online at this hidden gem by going to golfwoodward.com. For only $195 per month, you can enjoy unlimited golf 7 days a week. Membership includes discounted cart fees, unlimited range balls, and the use of our practice facilities. For more information on memberships and the course, check us out online at golfwoodward.com.
For a great experience in golf, go to Bent Brook, just off I-459 in the Birmingham area. You've got 27 holes where you can play your 18 holes 6 different ways. Open 7 days a week with 5 sets of tees that makes golf enjoyable for any level golfer. You get complimentary GPS on every golf cart, and the AU Victory bent grass greens play as pure as any in the area. Bent Brook continues to improve with upgraded greens and redesigned holes. Book that next tee time right now. BentBrook.com. BentBrook.com.
Hey, Lance Taylor from the next round to tell you about my friends at Michelson Laser Vision, located conveniently UAB Highlands. Almost 20 years ago, I went in for the procedure. Only took 12 minutes for both eyes. When I went in, I had 2200 vision. I was legally blind. Now I have 20/15 vision, still 19 years later. Make the call today. Schedule a hassle-free consultation. 969-8100. Dr. Mark Michelson, Dr. Jen Michelson, Michelson Laser Vision. Make sure you tell them the next round sent you. 969-8100 or MichelsonLaserVision.com.
Maybe you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, or TikTok. While we're changing the game yet again, Tyler's Telegrams has been developed exclusively for you.
Hi, this is the lovable boy you know as Tyler the Intern. I'm a businessman now. I will come directly to your door and tell you every time a new piece of TNR content drops. For the low, low price of $740,000, you can be notified by me, one of the biggest stars of the next round, about that thing you missed. Sure, the rest of those social media services are free, but so is radio, and we all know how well that's trending.
Tyler's Telegrams is currently operating exclusively in Bibb County. Other social media platforms are available everywhere.
Jim Dunaway, Lance Taylor, Ryan Brown, and Rockstar. Live from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino Studios, the next round, presented by Bud Light, is on now.
Georgia picked to win the SEC by the media. Not an official media poll, but Ohio State picked to win the Big Ten media. I thought Josh Pate was in Indianapolis, but he's not. I see him in the friendly confines. Let's talk to our buddy who we saw a lot of last week. We just couldn't get him down to our room.
Yeah, we're still waiting. He's the last guest we teased, but CBS had different ideas. What is up, Pate? How are you?
Yeah, you notice what happens on those big 4-day extravaganzas is you take things for granted. You say, oh, of course I'll do something with them. So you don't do it the first day or the second day. You start to toy with it the third day, but then you deprioritize it. You put it to the fourth day, and then the overlords at CBS come in and they take the sledgehammer to it. And all of a sudden, bye, we're back home. Yes, this is not Indianapolis, Dunaway. There's only one place they have these shades, and that is Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. Speaking of priorities, let's go to Twisters before we get into college football, because I was out at dinner with the kids on Saturday. I was like, do you guys want to go to a movie tonight? Well, what do you want to see, Dad? Let's go see Twisters. The reviews aren't bad at all. They were like, what is Twisters? And I was like, it's kind of not the sequel to Twister, but it's kind of in that realm. And they were like, what's Twister? This is the problem with having a movie in 96 and then waiting almost 30 years later. But the reviews look good. How was it?
I loved it. I gave it 4 chalice out of 5. The star rating system's overrated. I rate with chalices. I gave it 4 of 5. They didn't hijack it. That was the most important thing. So you worry with a storm chasing movie that something you're intimately familiar with, once Hollywood gets their hands on it, they're going to make it ridiculous. Now, you understand they've got to have some Hollywood in it. There's got to be, some pushing of the boundaries of realism. But overall, it passed the test. I thought the characters were very believable. You're going to see a lot of people debate whether the soundtrack's legit, because the Twister soundtrack was all time. So I don't have a problem with the soundtrack. The area the movie just whiffed for me is the score. Because the score of the original movie was like custom made for a storm chasing movie. This score is like they plucked it from random action movie and just dropped it into Twister, if you care about that sort of thing. But by and large, it lived up to and probably exceeded expectations. So I'm very happy with it, very relieved because this would have wrecked my year otherwise.
Wait. The Twisters soundtrack I'm looking at has Jelly Roll. Am I on the right list here?
Hey, I'm not vouching for every song. This is not a track-by-track endorsement, Dunaway. I'm saying broad strokes purposes. But if you go back to the original Twister, probably before Jelly Roll was born, as Lance pointed out, I would say that is one of the most underrated movie soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, so
that
what we got,
one I will
Rockstar?
swear by.
Give it to us, Rockstar.
Van Halen, Goo Goo Dolls, Rusted Root, Tori Amos, Soul Asylum,
Look at
Katie
that shirt.
Lang, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Lisa Loeb, Shania Twain, Stevie Nicks, and Eddie Van Halen with Alex.
Come
Van
on!
Halen.
Man.
Come on!
I mean, it's got some good artists. He's right.
That was the original one, right?
Yeah.
Because the one I'm looking at is a lot of country.
Well, I mean,
That's people's beef with it. People who don't like country said, this is not a soundtrack for me, which I get. I like country, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, Glenn Powell is one of the hot young actors right now in Hollywood. But is there a Philip Seymour Hoffman kind of supporting actor that makes any noise?
That was the other minor beef I had. If you think back to the original, first off, no, there's not a Philip Seymour Hoffman because there's not another one of him, period. In the original, you're introduced to like that entire storm chasing team over about a 2.5 minute period. In this one, they probably like scratched the surface of the topsoil with introducing you, but they never dive all that deep. It's kind of a 2-character, 3-character thing. And so they probably left some meat on the bone there. And that's the other thing that sucks is Bill Paxton has passed away. Philip Seymour Hoffman has passed away because somehow Hollywood waited 30 plus years to make a sequel to the second highest grossing movie of 1996. How that happened is beyond me. Also, related note, guys, we've also got the follow-up to Gladiator just now coming out in 2024 later this year. So after all this wait time, I get Twisters and Gladiator 2 same year. And Denzel Washington all of a sudden wandering around ancient Rome. How about that?
My man. Josh Pate is with us, Late Kick Josh, all the time. Your biggest takeaway, your biggest talking point out of SEC Media Days, and I have it in queue to go back and watch your coverage from there, is what? What was it?
Nick Saban's still far and away the biggest face and name in the conference. You know, I don't think it occurred to people that Saban was, once he retired from Alabama, going to be more visible and get a pay increase in his next line of work, which is television. Normally you think of guys like fading into obscurity after they retire and leave coaching. It's a weird dynamic because it's like if you talk to folks who were at the spring meetings down there, the first one without Saban, they talk about how there was this weird, awkward silence and everyone's just waiting on the moment where normally Saban would speak up and set the agenda and cast the vision for the entire room. And it's like, who's it going to be? Just because you're a really good coach doesn't mean you're also the type to grab, the conference by the throat from the intangible standpoint, from the face of standpoint. So that's one thing. On the field part, I can't help but think that Oklahoma and Tennessee are total wild cards this year. Tennessee, defensively, they have a quiet confidence about their staff and their personnel. Of course, everyone's going to talk about Nico. They don't have much doubt about his top-end potential. They had the top offense in the country 2 years ago with Hendon Hooker, and this is, all due respect to him, this is a level up for them talent-wise. And at Oklahoma, offensive line is an issue for them, but let's say they get average offensive line play. They have to have a higher-performing defense. This is the year where Brent Venables' sort of thumbprint has to be apparent on his program because they're going to have to, at the very least, buy that offensive line some runway early in the year. And if you're Oklahoma, you hope to be in position by the time you get to the Texas game where you figured enough out to where you can compete. That's a team that has 3 top 10 recruiting classes baked into the roster. They got multiple top 10 portal classes baked into the roster. So anyone, schedule or otherwise, anyone who thinks Oklahoma is just going to be some afterthought this year, I think is kidding themselves. But there's a big difference between just being in it versus, emerging at the front of the picture. Those two are total wild cards to me.
Josh Pate is with us at Late Kick Josh. If you watched his show last night, you can go back and get it on YouTube, Late Kick Josh. He decided for some reason we're not going to wait till August to do our college football playoff picks and conference picks. We're going to go ahead and do that on a Sunday night in July. So that's what you did last night. And to say you're high on Ole Miss is an understatement, Pate. You've got them in Atlanta and the college football semifinals. Hotty toddy, Josh Pate.
Yeah, what audacity. Did
Oh,
you
it is.
notice? How about that show last night being so big? Joe Biden stepped out of the election and didn't even address the nation last night. That's how big they knew. They knew that show was going to be that big.
Not going to compete. Not going to compete with the picks from Josh Pate. No, sir.
So the White House does have its finger on the pulse of something after all. I think schedule matters a lot here. Okay. Let me first start with Georgia. I would power rate Georgia my number one team in the SEC. Yet I don't have them in Atlanta playing for the conference title. And that is because they have a much more difficult schedule. And I, unlike some other folks, do not think there's a massive gap between Georgia and the rest of the SEC. So I think they're very inexperienced on the back end. I don't think their personnel up front is vintage Georgia. So I think Georgia going to Austin, Tuscaloosa, and Oxford will take a toll. And I had Texas and Ole Miss as of now, Brown. Pay attention to those words, as of now. Texas and Ole Miss going to Atlanta. And then I also had Texas and Ole Miss in the semifinal. I also had Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten title game and Ohio State versus Oregon in the semifinal. Now, let's just say for argument's sake that were to happen. Let's say we get 2 conference championship game rematches in the semifinal. To the ends of the earth, the talking point that entire 2-week period would be, are conference championship games a waste of time? If we end up having a scenario like that, folks are going to, some people are already screaming it. That would just mean a chorus of everyone would scream, we really went through all these conference title games and all this nonsense to just get back to where we were anyway. And in Ohio State and Oregon's case, that would have been the 3rd time they played in a football season. So I partly did it to be an agent of chaos, but I also did it because I do think there's a very real chance that happens.
And to be fair, real quick, Lance, to be fair, Josh did say, I'm going to do it in July, but I reserve the right to change it since I'm doing it so early. So,
of course.
Okay, with all that said, I didn't realize that you had Ole Miss winning the SEC. I was going to ask you the question, and on the surface, it might seem like an easy answer, but who's under the most pressure this year? Lane Kiffin or Brian Kelly? And look, I know neither one of those guys is under pressure to lose their job, but the only thing I would say about Brian Kelly, based on the fact that he's played for a national championship, he's had 2 Notre Dame teams in college football playoffs, he's got no Texas, no Georgia on the schedule, and LSU actually has Ole Miss coming to Baton Rouge. So by that, I could say, like, LSU's got a bigger brand than Ole Miss. If I'm an LSU fan, I'm like, why do we have Ole Miss penciled in a college football playoff? Why are we not there?
So one small correction. I did pick Texas over Ole Miss. I just have Ole Miss going to the playoff. So I actually think the answer is Brian Kelly. I think there's more pressure on Kelly because there's a higher expectation level as a program on LSU. People may think Ole Miss's team is better this year, but if Ole Miss misses the college football playoff entirely, what happens? I mean, really, what happens? Now, flip that on its ear and ask what happens if LSU goes 7-5 this year? What if their defense isn't improved? What if they can't compete in the big games? Honestly, I don't know what to expect because I would just as easily be able to see Brian Kelly saying, yeah, I'm done with this, as I would be seeing them fire him. They are not in a position, and let me say this as clearly as I can, they are not in a position to fire him and pay that buyout. Financially, they're not in that spot. And the closer you get to the program, the more you know what I'm talking about there. So I don't know how that would even be handled. I have no idea how. That's a bridge that they just need to not worry about crossing. They need to go ahead and win a solid 9 games this year and then say, all right, we got our defensive staff in place. They're recruiting very well in future classes right now. So let's sell the future. But you can't be selling the future on 7-5. You got to be up there 9 wins or better.
I think there's 11 really good football teams in the SEC. Was it a cold water moment on Friday for the folks in Norman, Oklahoma, when the media poll came out and Oklahoma is sitting there eighth in the preseason rankings? In the history of mankind, do you think Oklahoma's ever been 8th in the preseason ranking for their conference? I know they were bad for a brief period. I forget the coach's name. Snellenberger for a year, but Blake, yeah. They were bad, but 8th in preseason rankings, that's not where that brand usually is.
No, it's not. However, as you and I know, Dunaway, there are some fan bases out there that claim they want you to doubt them and disrespect them, but as soon as you do, they trash you. Oklahoma's folks actually do love this stuff. Oklahoma's folks have gotten so used to being doubted every year against Texas, even though they're the better program and have been for a while. They actually embrace that stuff. I saw that come out, and I saw a few Oklahoma folks chirping, but it was mainly chirping amongst themselves of looking to the left and right saying, no, here we go again. All right, let's get ready for the season. And there's a reason. If I was an Oklahoma person, there's a reason I'd have a blind trust in my program being the key word there, because we've gotten it done. We are an overachiever as a program relative to expectations. So why would I expect to be anointed in the preseason in a new conference? Go in there and earn it is their attitude. I'd feel the same way. I mean, who would you reasonably put them above that they were ranked behind? I mean, who would they have expected to be placed above?
Nobody. I'm just saying that's the reality of this league now, is that you can be really good Texas A&M, improving Auburn, and be 9th and 10th in Oklahoma with Jackson Arnold at number 8. I mean, that's just the reality of the new league.
That week 4 game against Tennessee, I told you guys last time I was on, that's my sleeper game of the year. They've got week 4 against Tennessee. They go to Auburn week 5. That's their season before they ever play Texas. That 2-week stretch determines whether they're going to be a real factor in this thing or not.
Okay, you tell me what's a more crazy statistic. That Florida has not won the SEC since Tim Tebow's junior year in 2008, or that the Auburn Tigers have not won back-to-back 10-win season since 88-89.
Oh, my goodness. Say that again. Double-digit win season.
Yeah, we had one of our listeners, Jeff from Anniston, brought this up 5, 6, 7 years ago. We were blown away. Because you look at Nick Saban, his final 16 years, he won 10-plus games. But Auburn hasn't done it since 88-89. But at the same time, that proud Florida brand hasn't won an SEC championship since 08.
Man, if you say that Florida stat generically, that's the craziest thing. But to know that Florida stretch coincided with Saban's run at Alabama, it makes a little more sense. I think the Auburn thing, no back-to-back 10-win seasons for that long, that's wild to me. I didn't know that. That's like the last time Georgia had a 1,000-yard receiver thing was back like 20-something years ago. It's just this wild stat that's out there in the open for anyone to look up, yet whenever anyone sees it, they're floored, like I am right now, because I didn't even realize that.
How about this stat? And this one blew me away. This is our